"We used your fund for your sister. She needs the spotlight." My dad said it proudly, practically beaming, as if I should have burst into applause right then and there. But I didn't cry, I didn't scream, I just looked at my fiancé, Mark, and the silent, knowing understanding that passed between us was enough. His voice, calm but laced with a dangerous edge I rarely heard, was the only sound in the room. "Their 72 hours start now. Was I wrong for what I did next? Tell me, honestly, if you would have done the same thing." It all started innocently enough, or so I thought. My name is Clara, and I'm a structural engineer. Not exactly a glamorous job, but one I poured my heart into. From a young age, I was always the studious one, the quiet achiever. My sister, Lily, on the other hand, was the darling of the family. 5 years younger than me, she was beautiful, vivacious, and utterly convinced she was destined for stardom. Our parents, particularly my mother, reinforced this belief at every turn. Lily wanted to be an actress, a singer, a dancer, anything that put her front and center. I loved my sister, truly, but growing up, it often felt like I existed in her shadow. My achievements were met with a polite nod, while Lily's smallest triumphs, like getting a lead role in a school play, were celebrated with grand parties and endless praise. This dynamic established a pattern early on. Lily's needs always came first. My parents, both teachers, weren't wealthy, but they were meticulous savers. From the moment I was born, they started a college fund for me. Every birthday, every Christmas, a small sum would go into Clara's future fund. I knew about it, of course, and it was a source of comfort, a tangible symbol of their commitment to my education. When I got into my dream university, a prestigious engineering school, I felt immense relief. The tuition was steep, but the fund, combined with some scholarships I'd earned, would cover it. I worked incredibly hard through college, often pulling all-nighters, fueled by instant coffee and the knowledge that every penny counted. I graduated with honors, landed a fantastic job, and started building my life. The fund, after tuition and living expenses, had a small but significant amount left over. My parents always said, "That's your rainy day fund, Clara, for your first house, your wedding, whatever big milestone comes next." I believed them. Why wouldn't I? They were my parents. Fast forward a few years. I was thriving in my career, slowly saving up for a down payment on a house, and most importantly, I had met Mark. Mark was everything I never knew I needed: kind, intelligent, incredibly supportive, and with a quiet strength that grounded me. We had been together for 3 years when he proposed. It wasn't some grand, extravagant gesture. It was intimate and perfect, on a quiet evening at home. We were both overjoyed. We started planning our wedding, a modest but beautiful affair. We wanted to keep it personal, focusing on our closest friends and family. I remembered the remaining balance in my rainy day fund and thought, this is it. This is what it was saved for. I decided to call my parents to discuss it. I was so excited, imagining their joy at finally seeing me take this big step. I dialed them up, full of cheer. "Mom, Dad, Mark and I are finally setting a date. We were thinking next fall, and you know that fund you saved for me. I was thinking it would be perfect to help with some of the wedding costs. Maybe a down payment on a small starter home after." There was a beat of silence on the other end. Then my mother cleared her throat. "Oh, Clara," she said, her voice unusually hesitant. "About that fund," my stomach dropped. I instantly knew something was wrong. My father took over, his voice boisterous and unapologetic, as if delivering wonderful news. "We used your fund, sweetie, all of it, for Lily, of course. She needs the spotlight, you know." My world tilted. I felt a cold dread spread through me, numbing me from the inside out. Used it. For Lily. For what? My voice was barely a whisper. My father continued, oblivious to the earthquake he had just unleashed. "Well, she got an opportunity, a truly magnificent opportunity, a performing arts academy in New York, a year-long intensive program. It's very exclusive, and the tuition is astronomical. But this Is her big break, Clara, her chance to finally shine. We couldn't let her miss it. He paused, expecting, I suppose, for me to praise their selflessness, to express joy for my sister. She needs this, Clara. She's got such a gift. You're stable, you have your career. Lily needs this push. I remember the silence that followed, thick and suffocating. My mother then chimed in, trying to soften the blow. We thought you'd understand, darling. Family helps family. This is an investment in Lily's future. Yours is already set. An investment in Lily's future. My future, the one they had supposedly invested in, had just been liquidated without a single word to me. The fund that had my name on it, that I had relied on, that was meant for my asterisk milestones, was gone. Not spent on an emergency, not on something truly life-threatening, but on my sister's pursuit of fame. And they expected me to clap. I mumbled something about having to go, ending the call abruptly. I walked in a daze to where Mark was waiting. He took one look at my face and knew. I didn't have to say a word. I just collapsed into his arms, and for the first time in my life, I truly felt the sting of being second best, of being overlooked, of being sacrificed for someone else's dream. Mark held me, stroking my hair, letting me simply exist in my shock and pain. When I finally found my voice, I told him everything, the words tumbling out in a rush of disbelief and hurt. He listened patiently, his jaw tightening slightly as I recounted my parents' casual dismissal of my feelings and my future. This isn't right, Clara, he said, his voice low and steady. They can't just take your money that was explicitly for you. I shook my head. They're my parents, and it's Lily. It's always Lily. That night, I couldn't sleep. My mind replayed every instance of Lily being prioritized, every time I was told to be understanding, to make allowances. It wasn't just the money, it was the utter disregard for me, for my plans, for my very existence as an individual with needs and aspirations. It was the complete lack of respect. The next day, after a long, quiet conversation with Mark, a plan began to form. It was radical, it was risky, but it felt like the only way to reclaim a piece of myself, so that's the situation I was in, and I had to make a choice. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have let it go? Would you have confronted them? What would your next move have been? I tried to act normal for a few days, maintaining a polite, if distant, demeanor with my parents and sister. Lily, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing, chattered excitedly about her New York dreams, about the generous gift from our parents. Each excited utterance from her was like a fresh stab. Mark and I had spent hours poring over documents, consulting with a lawyer friend of his, and meticulously planning our steps. We confirmed that while the fund was in my name, my parents, as the original account holders, did technically have access to withdraw the money. Legally, it was a gray area, but morally, it was a betrayal. The 72-hour timer Mark had set started the moment we confronted my parents again. We drove over to their house, determined to have a final, unequivocal discussion. This time, Mark was with me. When my father repeated his earlier sentiment, she needs the spotlight, Mark's quiet, firm voice cut through the air. With all due respect, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, that fund was explicitly for Clara. It had her name on it. You unilaterally decided to reallocate funds meant for her future without her consent, for non-emergency. My mother bristled. Mark, this is a family matter. You don't understand. Mark's eyes, usually so warm, were steely. I understand that Clara's trust has been broken and her financial security compromised. I understand that her wedding plans and her ability to buy a home have been jeopardized by your decision. And I understand that you did this without a single word to her until after the fact. My father scoffed. She's being dramatic. It's family. We help each other. Clara will be fine. That was the moment, that casual dismissal, that complete inability to see my pain or the depth of their betrayal. I looked at Mark, and he gave me a subtle nod. "Dad," I said, my voice surprisingly steady, "I understand that you believe Lily deserves every opportunity, and I truly wish her well, but you made a choice, and now I'm making mine." My parents looked confused. My mother, exasperated, asked, "What are you talking about, Clara? Mark and I are getting married in 6 weeks," I stated calmly, dropping the bombshell. "Not next fall. 6 weeks from today. It'll be a small ceremony, just us and a few close friends." My parents exchanged a bewildered glance. "And," I continued, "since you've made it clear where your priorities lie, and that my financial well-being is secondary, Mark and I will be paying for everything ourselves. We'll be using the money we had saved for your retirement home." The color drained from my father's face. My mother gasped. For years, my parents had been dreaming of downsizing, selling their current house, and buying a smaller, more manageable home in a quaint community. They had a considerable sum saved up for this, specifically marked retirement home fund. They had often joked about how I, the responsible engineer, would help them choose the best, most practical house. I had always pictured helping them, happy to contribute to their comfort in their later years. Now, that vision shattered. "Clara, what are you saying?" My mother shrieked, finally breaking her stunned silence. "That's our retirement. You can't." My father, usually so confident, looked utterly lost. "That's different, Clara. That's for our golden years, is it?" I challenged, my voice rising slightly. "Is it really so different from the fund that was for my golden years? The one that was explicitly for my future, my milestones? You took mine for Lily's spotlight. I'm taking yours for my own. It's not for a spotlight. It's for my basic human right to a wedding and a home, which you stripped away from me." Mark stepped forward, placing a reassuring hand on my back. "We've already consulted with a lawyer," he said, his voice quiet but firm. "The funds are currently held in a joint account with Clara's name on it, established when she became an adult. The paperwork clearly states that either party can initiate withdrawals. Furthermore, as Clara is now an adult, her name holds significant weight. Legally, she has every right to access those funds." My parents stared at him, then at me, their faces a mixture of disbelief and growing panic. "We will, of course, provide you with the exact cost of our wedding and the down payment for our home," I added, "and only withdraw that amount. The rest will remain untouched for your future, should you still have one that requires it." The implication hung heavy in the air. The next few days were a whirlwind. My parents tried everything. They called, they pleaded, they guilt-tripped. My mother cried, my father raged. Lily, finally understanding the gravity of the situation, called me in tears, accusing me of ruining her life and our parents' future. "How could you be so selfish, Clara? This is my big chance," she wailed, "and your big chance came at the expense of mine, Lily. Why is your dream more important than my reality?" I shot back, a coldness in my voice I hadn't known I possessed. "You want the spotlight, enjoy it, because you've just thrown me into it too, and I'm not going to be ignored anymore." Within the 72 hours Mark had given them, we initiated the withdrawal. The funds were transferred, a significant portion of my parents' retirement savings. We booked a small, intimate venue, found a beautiful dress, and sent out simple invitations. My parents and Lily did not attend the wedding. Their absence, while painful in a way, also felt like a release. Mark and I exchanged vows, surrounded by friends who had become our chosen family, and it was perfect. We put a down payment on a small but lovely house, and for the first time in my life, I truly felt like I was building something for myself with someone who truly valued me. The aftermath was complicated. My parents eventually had to sell their current home to make up for the depleted retirement fund. downsizing significantly and moving into a much smaller, less desirable place. The relationship with them is strained, to say the least. They still see me as the villain, the ungrateful child who stole their future. Lily's New York dream fizzled out after the first year. It turned out talent alone wasn't enough, and she never quite made it. She blames me, of course, for causing such stress that it impacted her focus, but I don't regret it. Not for a second. I finally stood up for myself. I drew a line in the sand, and I protected my future with the help of the man who truly saw me. This whole experience taught me that sometimes you have to fight for your place, even against the people who are supposed to love you unconditionally. It taught me that your worth isn't determined by how much you sacrifice for others, but by how much you value yourself. So, if you're ever in a situation where your boundaries are being crossed and your needs are being disregarded, remember this: you have the right to stand up for yourself. You have the right to claim your own spotlight. Like this video if you were on my side. Subscribe for more stories like this, and share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section below. I'll see you all in the next story.